The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, requires that each state develop a State Performance Plan, Annual Performance Report, SPP-APR, that evaluates the state's efforts to implement the requirements and purposes of the IDEA and describes how the state will improve its special education implementation. The SPP APRs include indicators that measure child and family outcomes and other indicators that measure compliance with the requirements of the IDEA. The indicators on Part B of IDEA fall into three monitoring priority areas: provision of a free, appropriate public education, FAPE, in the least restrictive environment, LRE; state exercise of general supervision, including child fine, effective monitoring, the use of resolution meetings, mediation, and a system of transition services; disproportionate representation of racial and ethnic groups in special education and related services to the extent the representation is the result of inappropriate identification. The South Carolina Office of Special Education Services must set targets on the indicators that involve student performance. We have a series of recorded presentations in order to get stakeholder feedback for the proposed targets. The four-year adjusted cohort graduation rate defines a graduate as someone who receives a regular high school diploma in the standard number of years, specifically 4. Students who do not meet the criteria for graduating with the regular diploma cannot be included in the numerator of the calculation, but must be included in the denominator. The calculation also excludes students who receive a modified or special diploma, a certificate, or a GED from being counted as graduates. It is adjusted to reflect transfers into and out of the district. Here you can see the targets for graduation for the last 4 years. The target is the middle line and the actual graduation rate is bottom line. You can see that we have exceeded our graduation target every single year for multiple years in a row. The research suggests that 72 to 82% of students are capable of obtaining a regular high school diploma. The rate varies on the state's requirements for graduation and the method of research that was used. Ultimately, that means both our outcomes and our expectations are low. On this slide, you can see our graduation rate since 2011, when HSAP was eliminated in the solid blue line. The dotted blue line shows the trend and projects it through the end of the SPP we are writing right now. The good news is our graduation rate has been on a slow but steady increase. The trend line suggests where we as a state are heading. The State Performance Plan requires us to set what they refer to as targets and what we think of as our goals. Just like IEP goals, targets need to be rigorous yet attainable. If we were to create a SMART goal, like the goals required in IEPs, the goal would read something similar to: by the end of the school year 2025, South Carolina will have a graduation rate for students with disabilities of 72.37%, as measured by the EDFACS graduation report. The post-secondary outcomes group will have goals related to meeting this target that is updated yearly and discussed below. In order to increase graduation rate, the PSO focus group will increase LEA capacity by focusing efforts on this goal. In order to further LEA capacity to increase career development, student skills, CTE enrollment and collaboration for students with disabilities, the PSO team will provide resources and supports that will assist LEAs with implementing high-leverage, evidence-based, equitable practices that address post-secondary outcome needs. There will be benchmarks completed in the SOTA implementation manual. In order to monitor progress, much like monitoring of IEP goals, we will use a variety of data points to monitor progress of the goal, such as dropout rate, graduation rate, Indicator 14 survey results, students with disabilities and CTE enrollment, other CTE data, task data, SCABLE data, interagency data as needed. PSO has varied activities such as building LMS modules for CTE collaboration, the South Carolina High School Credential Series, transition best practices, and indicator 13 and 14 compliance. Also, PSO focus group activities include informing LEAs and SOPs of PSO implementation guide and assisting LEA SOPs in setting up graduation teams. Utilizing tasks to help LEAs and SOPs to implement those best practices defined by the PSO essential program components as determined by the school graduation team. Also, building that interagency collaboration and those relationships with CTE, Higher Ed, VR, SC-ABLE, SC-DO, DDSN. These will support LEAs in achieving the long-term goal of increasing graduation rates, and all of these are related to the PSO goals. Stakeholder feedback will be considered in embedding additional activities.